freak as Trey Gowdy drops truth bomb on Adam Shifty Schiff by Dan Lindsay Politics, U.S. News 4, MadWorldNews.com. Liberals are freaking out after South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy dropped a truth bomb on Representative Adam Schiff for his dishonest conduct. Yeah, you won't want to miss this. Let's see. Adam Schiff has been at the forefront of many wild accusations against President Donald Trump, including the Russia collusion investigation being run by special counsel Robert Mueller. Now Gowdy put Schiff in his place with a dose of reality. According to Fox News, Gowdy appeared on The Story with host Martha McCullum on Tuesday, May 29th, 2018, where he straightened out a few very important aspects of the Russian collusion investigation and called out Schiff for his misleading narrative. McCollum didn't waste any time in getting right down to business with Congressman Gowdy. You were one of those who saw the background documents related to this issue of whether or not there was a spy or an informant in the campaign. Anything you can share on a broad scale about what went down there? She asked Gowdy. I think there are two things that are important to understand. Number one, the source of President Trump's frustration, Brennan, said he should be in the dustbin of history. Comey said impeachment's too good of a remedy. Clapper doesn't like him. Loretta Lynch said call it a matter and not an investigation. Schiff said he had evidence of collusion before we even began the investigation, and 60 Democrats have voted to impeach him before Mueller. Yeah, this has got to be older. Yeah, he went on Tuesday and said this. It sounds like he's repeating. South
Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy, chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, also member of the House Intel Committee, and you were one of those who saw some of the background documents related to this issue of whether or not there was a spy or an informant in the campaign late last week. Anything you can share on a broad scale about what went down there?
I think there are two things important to understand. Number one, the source of President Trump's frustration. Brennan said he should be in the dustbin of history. Comey said impeachment's too good of a remedy. Clapper doesn't like him. Loretta Lynch said call it a matter, not an investigation. Schiff said he had evidence of collusion before we even began the investigation. And 60 Democrats have voted to impeach him before Bob Mueller has come up with a single solitary finding. That's what's got him frustrated. What should have him heartened is the fact that Chris Wray, Rod Rosenstein, and all the senior folks at DOJ now were all Trump appointees. So here's what's fair to ask. What did the FBI do? When did they do it? What was the factual predicate upon which they took whatever actions they took? And against whom were they directed? But remember, Martha, it was President Trump himself who said, number one, I didn't collude with Russia, but if anyone connected with my campaign did, I want the FBI to find that out. It looks to me like the FBI was doing what President Trump said, I want you to do, find it out. He's not the target. So when Schiff and...
Yeah, but all this spying took place before Trump said that. Do you see what I'm saying? They were spying on Trump way before Trump made that statement. That's what they failed to mention here.
Don't make that clear. They're doing a disservice to our fellow citizens. He's not the target.
But this raises the question that the president raised in this one of those tweets. There were a lot of them, and which we talked about quite a bit here last week. Is if that were the case, why didn't they give him a little briefing? So here's what we found out. We do have somebody who asked some questions of George Papadopoulos. We do have somebody who's asked questions of Carter Page. Here's what you need to know.
I think defensive briefings are done a lot, and why the Comey FBI didn't do it, I don't know, but Chris Wray and Rod Rosenstein have at least made it clear to us Donald Trump was never the target of the investigation.
Okay, so he was never the target of the investigation. Why should he sit down with Mueller?
He's not the current target of the investigation. Now, keep in mind, that can all change depending on what a witness says, but...
Oh, that can all change, right? That can all change by what a witness says. Who's the witness? Who's the witness? He doesn't explain that.
So now, I think Chris Wray and Rod Rosenstein are stunned whenever people think Trump is the target of their investigation. I'll leave it up to them how to brief the president or how to brief his lawyers.
Was that point of view that you're talking about right now, was that strengthened when you went into this briefing last week?
Yes. I am even more convinced that the FBI did exactly what my fellow citizens would want them to do when they got the information they got, and that it has nothing to do with Donald Trump.
All right,
yeah,
so
right.
Given the things that were over here on your right hand, all the frustrations, do you think it's problematic the way the president is tweeting about this all the time? Because he feels like he needs to vent. He's got to get his message out there. Is it legally problematic in your mind what he's doing?
I think anytime you create prior statements, you give Mueller or other folks a chance to question you on them and ask.
So in other words, Trump's not supposed to let the people know what's going on, because you're certainly not going to get it from Gowdy. And you're certainly not going to get it from the mainstream media. So that's the only choice that's left here.
What was your factual basis? Why did you say that? The president should have access to the best legal minds in the country. And I think he should take advantage of those. And he's got some really good communication.
Why should the president take advice from legal minds if he's not under investigation? Who's Mueller investigating? You know, Gowdy talks out of both sides of his mouth.
That are on his staff and at his call. If I were his lawyer, and I never will be, I would tell him to rely on his lawyers and his comms folks.
All right, here's one of them. Rudy Giuliani speaking with Bill Hemmer over the holiday weekend. Watch this.
What's wrong with the government trying to figure out what Russia was up to?
Nothing wrong with the government doing that. Everything wrong with the government spying on a candidate.
Absolutely.
The opposition party. That's a Watergate, a Spygate. I mean, and without any warning to him. And now, to compound that, to make it into a criminal investigation, Bill, that's why this is a rigged investigation.
There are two things wrong with what the former U.S. attorney said. Number one, no one knows whether this is a criminal investigation. Mueller was told to do a counterintelligence investigation into what Russia did. Number two, President Trump himself, in the Comey memo, said, if anyone connected with my campaign was working with Russia, I want you to investigate it. And it sounds to me like that is exactly what the FBI did. I think when the president finds out what happened.
Yeah, but they did it prior to him saying, making those statements. You see what the trick is here? They don't tell you when Trump said it. Trump said it after the fact. They already had planted spies way before Trump said that. Way before they started spying on him, way before all this came out where Trump said that statement.
He's going to be not just fine, he's going to be glad that we have an FBI that took seriously what they heard. He was never the target. Russia
So
is
it
the
sounds
target.
to me as if you would advise him that there's no problem with him sitting down with Robert Mueller.
Oh, absolutely not. I have
There you have
always
it.
said, I think you ought to sit down with Bob Mueller. You've told us publicly there was no collusion. You've told us publicly there was no obstruction. Say in private what you've said publicly. Limit the scope to exactly what the Mueller memo is. But if he were my client, and I'd say if you've done nothing wrong, then you need to.
You see, notice it. If you were my client and if you did nothing wrong. So right then and there, sit down with Mueller. And you know Mueller's out for blood, right? Because, you know, Mueller's been digging and digging, finding nothing. So the last resort is getting Trump to sit down with Mueller so he can twist his words around and get him on perjury charges. Come on, Gowdy. Come on, Gowdy. The news was going to come out. The news was going to come out, and he stopped Nunes. He stopped him. He interfered there to block Nunes. That's what happened.
Down and tell Mueller what you know.
Yeah,
there was
right.
one judge who said that the scope was all over the place. Do you feel comfortable with the scope of this investigation, and do you feel like your committee has been shared with to the extent that exists, that the scope exists?
I'm not sure what the scope of the Mueller probe is, but I know this. Rosenstein is the one who created the memo. Right. It's not Bob Mueller's fault.
Have you seen that memo?
I have. I've seen the memo that you've seen also. The other memo some of my colleagues want to see is a more narrow
The one that basically says investigate Russia and anything related to it.
And as a throwaway line at the end, and of course, if there's any criminality, look at that too. I mean, we run towards the criminality, but I would think everyone would want to know what Russia did. So
what a crock. Do you hear him? You hear him? I could not agree. I could not disagree more with Trey Gowdy. Yeah, okay, we know about Adam Schiff. But Gowdy's confidence in the FBI Director Christopher Wray and the Department of Justice seems perhaps a little misplaced when it comes to their intentions for the Russia investigation. But it's likely that Gowdy has seen the information that would indicate a change of direction for Wray and Rosenstein. Listen, they don't want to release the memos because it would throw the Mueller case right out the window. That's why Gowdy stepped in. I'd like to know who's paying Gowdy. I'm asking that question. Who's paying this shill? Because he's not who he seems he is. He's a rhino in disguise. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.